Good morning, everybody. Hey, it is such a privilege.
An inch, so it was just starting to come in all my doors. We had a lot of issues with electrical problems because of the things that were in the crawl space and the things that were in the garage, because everything was floating around in there. I couldn't believe it when I saw this sea of orange t-shirts show up. I'm sorry. It was very overwhelming. And you see like 200 people standing on the corner and you're going like, oh my God, is this even happening? Like 50 people came over my house. Like 10 of them worked in the crawl space for 8 hours. The rest of them were picking up all the debris that was all over my yard. I had bulkheads on my yard, and fences, chairs, garbage, recycling, you name it, it was everywhere. I just can't thank them enough. They gave us such hope. We were so overwhelmed. And we were luckier, like the next 3 houses next to me didn't get knocked down because my house was higher, so my whole neighborhood was 4 feet of water around everything. So I just want to thank them, thank God. We never lost our faith in God. We were praying constantly to help us get through this, to help us make it, and give us encouragement, give us signs of hope. And the Samaritan's Purse was just, I just think they're fantastic. The people came from all over the country. They were just amazing, amazing, wonderful, wonderful people.
In my backyard, there's a lot of trees in my neighborhood, and I had a whole tree uplifted, and I had a couple of half trees fall in my yard. And I was very blessed that my house, my body, nobody I knew was harmed, so that was great. But at one point, after the electricity came back and realization sets in, I was like, how am I going to deal with these trees? How am I going to get the money? And one day, there was an angel in orange, and he came over to me and goes, oh yeah, we're from Samaritan's Purse. We clean up trees and go into neighborhoods. We're in Katrina. And I looked at him and I says, you're going to help me do this? And he said, oh, absolutely. Well, I helped him. I kissed him. I thanked him. I filled out the form. And I went immediately in my house on my knees and thanked God, because there was no way I was going to be able to afford to pay for all that.
I wasn't affected directly, but indirectly, because I feel that when it was a ripple effect for my people that I know, that I fellowship with and come to church with, and some that I don't know, they was affected deeply by losing everything, and it really began to touch my heart, because you run by the TV controls and you see these certain people losing everything. You're like, God, that'll never happen here. But when it's your backyard, when it's someone you know, or a family member, it devastated this whole area. But by the grace of God, by the grace of God, He's building it back. Having people from all colors, all shapes, all different backgrounds come together with one common goal, and that is to be Jesus with skin on. It was awesome for me.
Throughout that whole ordeal, the Lord gave me the comfort that can't be described. It was a very difficult time. We had been stranded in the Outer Banks following my daughter's wedding, so we weren't here for the storm. But by the time I got home on Thursday morning at 3 a.m. in the dark, with the generator I purchased in Virginia, my parents were already in my house. My dad in his hospice bed, and my mother on the couch. It was a very difficult month from the end of October until he passed away the week after Thanksgiving. But throughout that, you just felt the loving arms of the Lord wrap me and held me up. It was tough. There were a lot of people at the house. Things were a bit of a mess, but there was still that comfort. I talked to the Lord all the time, out loud. And I made sure I was around people, like-minded people. I came to church. I didn't stay home. Spending time with other people who could build me up and encourage me and strengthen me at times when I felt like I couldn't do it myself.
This hurricane was really different, and I wasn't here. I had been called down particularly with my daughter, and I had a woman, Christine from church, and her daughter Gabrielle that was living with me, and unfortunately they experienced it. walking back and I saw the house, I was just overwhelmed. Walking into the house and the odor from the baby being in there was nauseating, and you couldn't stay in the house very long. And I just didn't even know where to begin. And that day that I pulled up to my house and I saw all these orange shirts in my driveway, I was just so overwhelmed. I was like, God has sent his army to help me. I was so impressed with how many people God sent me from all around the world. I mean, not just local people, but people. There was a pastor from England, a pastor from Australia, and you know, those pastors, you know, I needed physical help moving the things out, but I also needed the help of hugs. When you're feeling so alone and so helpless, to have somebody hug you and love on you and pray with you and say the words that you can't get out. I mean, so many times I tried praying, I didn't know what to pray, and all I would pray would be, Jesus, Jesus, help, you know, and that's enough, and he sent the help.
The whole bottom of my house was flooded out. Our community became part of the bay, basically, so we lost everything on the lower level, on a two-story home. I got a call on a Friday after I'd been mucking out for 2 days by myself, pretty much. And they said, come down to the Church of Grace and Peace, we've got some help. And I said, okay, not knowing what to expect. And they said, well, we'll send a few people tomorrow, that would be Saturday morning, to just assess the area. Down the road came 120 orange shirts. It looked like an army of orange, literally, into my community. And they literally started packing the house, emptying the good into trailers to take to a storage locker, getting rid of all the muck. My deck was on the fence, and they cut it up. And then they started, this army of orange was Samaritan Purse volunteers from all over the nation, and they started fanning out into the neighborhood. And I think by the end of that day, maybe 20 or more homes were helped and assisted, from single moms to elderly people. It was an amazing picture of hope in a place where we thought we were pretty hopeless.
To those who think your prayers have all been worthless, to those who think your chains are yours for life, to those who think you cannot leave the darkness and bring your brokenness into the light. Fear not, our God is with us. Emmanuel, redeeming love has come. Fear not, we have a Savior, and nothing is impossible with God. Fear not. Come bring